Hi, my name is Mike. Today we're going to do a quick logo in CorelDRAW X6. I know that newer users may be using CorelDRAW X7. It's very similar, so you'll be able to follow along no problem. So the logo I have already on my clipboard. If we Control V or Edit Paste, our logo will be automatically centered into the page. As you can see, our logo is quite small, quite pixelated. So we will expand this, holding our Shift key will make it considerably larger on the page. Now our next step is to set some transparency to this because we're going to use this logo as a base so that we can copy from. So if we click our transparency tool, select uniform from the drop down menu and bring it up to roughly 80. This will make it easier for us to draw black lines on top. We now lock our object, and this makes this object unmovable. We can't change it in any way. So let's begin by choosing the rectangle tool, F6, click and drag over top of our item. So we can see that we're just slightly small there. So let's make this 7 millimeters. And we can see we're very close. We'll now grab our shape tool. Select any node. All are default by highlighted. We now have all rounded corners. Our next step is to grab the ellipse tool. We hold down the Control key and drag until we see an ellipse roughly the size we need. So we drag this to 37.9. So we'll make this 38 millimeters. We'll make sure that our lock ratio is selected. This will change on our property bar the height and width of the circle to exact proportions. We now convert this to curves. These will give us nodes that we can work with. By default, we have all 4 selected, and we can move these around. By watching when it converts to node, where you see that it jumps to node, we can bring this and position it on top of another node. So this is now locked onto here. So our next step, we remembered that this item here is 7 millimeters wide. This will be our line thickness, 7 millimeters wide. So we need to make this circle 7 millimeters times 2, or 14 millimeters less than 38. So that will be 24 millimeters. So if we grab a control node or control handle, hold our Shift key, click and drag to 24 millimeters, and then right click. This will create a new object. Our next thing to realize is, where does this end, this line? So let's draw a line from our center straight out. It will not start because we're starting on this. So let's just create a line. Grab a node. When this changes to a plus sign or a crosshair, we have the node, and we can drag it so that it clicks to a center. We will now click one more time on this object, and we'll see that it comes to our rotate. If we grab this circle right in the middle here and drag it over to this node, we will now rotate about this node. So if we click 45 degrees into the rotate, we will now have a 45-degree angle from the very center. Our next step is to combine all of these objects so that we can use our virtual segment delete tool to get rid of the lines that we don't need. Just by clicking on the line, we remove. So as you can see, we already have our first shape. But these nodes are not connected. We'll zoom in close and we'll see that they're actually not connected. So there's two different ways that we can do these to connect these nodes to make it one continuous line. We can select them and join the nodes here, or we can join all nodes by selecting all nodes, arrange, join curves. Now, if we have extend, these lines will just continue on until they actually join, and then it will connect. Now, these numbers, you can experiment with these, but anything, because the nodes are so close to each other, any distance will work. So next step, we'll grab our live fill tool. We'll confirm that we have an object here. So by clicking in here and it fills, we now know that we have a solid object. So our next step, we remember that this line here, or this box, was 7 millimeters. So we know that our radius for here and here were 3.5 millimeters. So if we grab our shape tool, grab a node, and look for our fillet, scallop, and chamfer. This is under Window, Dockers, Fillet, Scallop, and Chamfer. We'll change it to 3.5 millimeters. That is our radius. We'll also do the same for here. 3.5 millimeters. So we now have our first shape made. But if we look at this shape, we have to now guess where our next one is going to be. So it looks like this shape is directly beneath these nodes. So let's draw a line. Grab our line tool, place it on top of a node, click once, and drag. We will now, by placing our cursor on top, we will see that the arrows either go to a 45 or a vertical. When it's at vertical, we can drag that line up, and we can position it to roughly where we can see it needs to be on the next shape, at the very center of it. Now, we will click our item that we first made, and if we drag it over and right-click, we'll make a new object. The original one stays exactly where it is. Now you'll notice that this is a little bit off here. The reason is because this circle is slightly oblong. And I don't know if that was a mistake in the original design or if it was intentionally designed like that. But we'll keep everything symmetrical, and then we'll show you how to change the aspect ratio later. So up here we have our mirror tools. This will give us this shape here. Now, this node here, we want to align to here. So if we grab on top of that node, where it goes to a plus sign, and then drag it so that the node snaps to there, we now have placement of our other object. We can get rid of this line and see that we now have our two objects. Next, we will make the circle for the outside. So if we click and drag, holding our control key roughly to the size that we need, we can see that our shape is almost there, but we don't know if they're perfectly aligned. We know that these two are aligned with each other, so let's select just these two objects. We can verify it down here in the menu. Arrange Group. These two objects now are together. We don't have to worry about them breaking apart. This circle here, if we hit the P, will automatically go to the center of the page. We can also do our line and distribute, 2. Align centers vertically and horizontally. So we can see here that this base circle was slightly oblongated. Whether that was intent or not, I'm not sure, and that's up to the designer to decide how they would like that. So next, with our fill tool, we can quickly make a shape. We can select this item now and just click a color. We now have a nice vector shape object which is scalable to any size and still remain perfectly smooth. I hope this tutorial helps you, and if you have any further questions, you can always contact me via the forums or on the CorelDRAW forums website. Thanks for watching.